Tonight, extreme cold warnings blanket most of the province. A new twist on an old sport to make it more safe and inclusive.
Hope you got that one.
Perogy pinching and drive-thrus, the two come together in one Saskatoon business.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Friday, January 3rd, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Hi there, and thanks for watching. If you haven't been outside today, well, count yourself lucky. It is really cold outside. So much so that there are extreme cold warnings across a large part of our province. Frontline workers are on alert, making sure people stay safe. Jeremy Warren has more.
I've seen people with like frozen toes, frozen nose, fingers, stuff like that. And it's totally unnecessary.
This man is staying at the Salvation Army's Crossroads shelter in Saskatoon. He says he's one of the lucky ones. He doesn't have to scramble to find shelter in the extreme cold, but he knows others who do.
They stay awake all night, and they find ways of staying awake, and keep walking around, I guess, or whatever, and trying to get into wherever they can. And it's there's a lot of people out there, like there must be hundreds, a few hundred.
On Friday, the city of Saskatoon activated Level 2 of its Winter Emergency Response Plan. That ramps up coordination among groups and agencies working to keep homeless people safe. Saskatoon's 2 overnight warm-up centers are busy, but not quite full. The Salvation Army runs the enhanced shelter at Crossroads and the warm-up center at St. Mary's on 20th Street.
There are some people in community suffering from various afflictions like drug addiction, alcohol, mental health issues, who aren't quite ready for that case management model yet. And they also need a safe place to be in the meantime, which is why we end up having to put together these winter responses.
Demand is high. Each warm-up center averages 80 people per night. These are meant to be a temporary solution to a complex problem.
If we had a year-round, more basic shelter just as a starting point, I think that would address a lot of the needs in community.
The warming centers say the public can help. They're asking for donated items like jackets, gloves, and blankets. In Regina, there are more than a dozen drop-in warm-up shelters around the city to help people stay safe during the cold snap. That includes recreation facilities and public libraries. If you come across someone who is unsafe, hurt, or in danger, call 911 or local police. The extreme cold isn't expected to break for another few days. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Okay, for more on the particulars of what is going on outside, our weather specialist Ethan Williams pops by.
Yeah, we've had some very cold temperatures early Friday morning, Sam. -40 in Stony Rapids, feeling closer to -50, though, with a little bit of wind. Well into the -30s in the Churchill region, and even places like the Battlefords, Regina, Saskatoon, feeling at or below -40 with not all that much wind, but those temperatures down into the -30s. Some of the coldest air that we have seen this season in many parts of the province. Big dome of high pressure, keeping temperatures very cold in many areas, really except for southwestern Saskatchewan is where we're seeing those very unseasonably cold conditions. And as such, pretty much all areas are under extreme cold warnings as we head into the weekend. Wind chills -40 to 45 Friday night into Saturday for south and central, and once again -45 to -50 is possible. Now, when is this all going to end? Well, soon enough. I'll let you know in my full forecast coming up, Sam.
Soon enough is good for me. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Just before Christmas, a trio of immigrants say they were threatened as they walked home from a grocery store in Regina. It started with them being approached about selling and buying drugs and evolved into a disturbing story of racism and harassment. Ashwarya Duda has their story.
Moshir Samid says he never saw himself as a racial target, but that changed 2 days before Christmas in Regina. It happened on Victoria Avenue near downtown early in the morning.
They were calling us racial slurs, like, yeah, you
in India and get out of this country. We want peace here. Which Tim Hortons do you work? I said, bro, I just looked at them. Bro, I don't even work. I'm not even Indian.
Samit describes himself as a private person, an introvert. He moved here from Bangladesh in 2022 to study physics at the University of Regina. Samit says he and two friends were repeatedly targeted by 4 people in a car. He says the driver stopped several times for the group to make racial comments and throw coffee on them. The last time the car came around, his friend says things took a scary turn.
They again block our road and said they will gonna shoot us. So like that's the everything, and they said they said they will shoot us. Then like we didn't do anything wrong.
The incident left Sabith badly shaken and angry.
Every day I talk with my parents, but for 2 days I didn't talk with them, and like sometimes feelings crying and sometimes don't do anything. Like I don't know what to do.
The 3 men did file a police report. In an email, the Regina Police Service confirms to CBC that they are investigating. And while this might sound shocking, a professor researching a rise in hate against racialized migrants in Canada says this isn't an isolated incident.
Delivery guys facing a lot of hate, especially when doing food delivery. Having doors slammed into their faces, that's very common and increasingly so.
Kukreja says some political leaders aren't helping, presenting immigrants as a cause of Canada's problems. She's hopeful for a quick resolution from the police.
Such an overt articulation of hate, and if this wasn't attended to in a timely manner, what will happen to other incidents? And so will we wait for another shooting like the Quebec mosque or the running over of people?
11 days post the incident, Samit and Sabith say they're disappointed more hasn't been done by police. They want to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Ashwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
It was quite the year at the Saskatchewan Penitentiary. Nearly $1.7 million worth of drugs and other contraband were seized there in 2024. Corrections Canada says the haul included meth, cannabis, weapons, and cell phones. In one case, a drone was used to try to airdrop drugs into the prison. Corrections Canada says it has all sorts of measures to stop contraband from getting into the pen. Those range from ion scanners to police dogs who search the prison. When the holiday season comes calling, one particular potato dumpling becomes an important fixture on many dinner tables: perogies. One Saskatoon company helped fill bellies over Christmas, and they did it with a mixture of old school technique and drive-through convenience.
Our drive-through is pretty popular. You can get hot food, get cooked pierogies you want to eat right away. You can also buy the frozen pierogies to take home and cook yourself. To get them as a fast food, why not? Our fast food is homemade. It's less fast food than it is just good food fast. We have 7 kinds of pierogies that we've made for years. The most popular is our potato and cheddar pierogies. Those are what we serve on our menu every day. We also do a potato cheddar with bacon, potato onion cheddar and bacon, potato and onion, sauerkraut, cottage cheese, and Saskatoon berry. Those are the 7 that we do all of the time. During the year, we make 5,000 to 8,000 pierogies a day. Right now, we're making more like 10,000 to 12,000 pierogies a day. The demand for pierogies really increases at Christmas time and through the holidays. We're now the 3rd family that has owned Bubba's Pierogies. We've had Bubba's Pierogies for 20 years, and we've grown a lot from the early beginnings at home in the kitchen, but we're still doing things very much the same way as they were started. Pierogies made by hand, basic ingredients of potato and cheese and dough. People tell us all the time how, oh, it smells just like my Bubba's house or my mom's house. People have an emotional connection to pierogies and cabbage rolls that you don't have to most food that you can stop at a drive-thru and get. Boiling is the way you want to cook your pierogies. Boil water, throw in your pierogies, stir them. Stir them lots. You don't want them to stick. Some people will fry them after boiling them. Some people will bake them. Some people will deep fry them. After that, you can experiment with all kinds of things. Here at our store, we always use real ground bacon bits, fried onions, sour cream. We also have our signature mushroom dill sauce, which people go crazy for. I didn't even realize as a kid that pierogies were a cultural food. They were just such a basic staple food that I ate all the time. At Christmas time, around the holidays, plus Easter, Thanksgiving, any of the eating holidays, pierogies are always on the table. Now I also can just eat pierogies every day here at the store. And so can anybody else when you can just stop at the drive-thru on your way home.
Adam Yeko, power play goal, and the Czechs lead with 39 seconds to go.
And that would be it for Team Canada as they go back-to-back years without advancing to the medal game in the World Junior Hockey Tournament this year, hosted at home in Ottawa. Canada fell 3 to the Czech Republic in the quarterfinals. It is also the second year in a row Canada's been knocked out in the quarterfinals by the Czechs. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Have you heard of walking soccer? It's pretty much what it sounds like, the traditional game without the running. The slower pace lets people with mobility issues play with much less danger of injury. And it's gaining some traction in Saskatoon. Stephanie Massicott went to learn more.
I'm out here at Saskatoon Sports Center with Dave Taylor. We are talking walking soccer. Dave, I have to ask you, what exactly is walking soccer? What's the difference between it and traditional soccer?
Okay, walking soccer is, as it sounds, is you're supposed to walk. The biggest challenge for all of us is walking. It really is. You'll see us occasionally break into, particularly as some of these guys are still playing in the over 50 regular league.
Hope you got that one.
So for them, it's very difficult, particularly as we play on the same field. It's something that is now sort of taking off across the world. We're trying to get it going here in Saskatoon. We've been running this program now on Wednesdays and Fridays for about 4 years now. We'd love to see more women out. We've had some try it and not come again, unfortunately. But we do have one out tonight, so that's good. We do have about 3 or 4 that come out fairly regularly, but we'd love to see more of them. I'm 78 years old, and I'm still doing this, and I'm enjoying it, and it's a chance to get out, be with a bunch of friends, have some exercise for an hour and a half, and then just, know that I've done something for the day.
This is hard.
2024 is in the rearview mirror, but it did produce some pretty extreme weather. From temperature swings to drenching rain to late season heat, our province had a wild ride at times. And Ethan Willing gives us a look at some of those highlights and what's to come.
Parts of our province started 2024 with some of their coldest temperatures ever recorded. Leader hit a bone-chilling minus 46.4 with a wind chill down to minus 56. But a drastic warm-up happened just 2 weeks later, with Maple Creek hitting 21 degrees on January 30th, the highest temperature ever recorded in January in Saskatchewan. That contributed to one of the warmest and driest winters this province has ever seen, and it raised fears of another drought year. But those fears washed away in May and June, with most of the province seeing above average moisture, the first time that's happened in May in years for some places. A late June deluge was the grand finale, with almost 200 millimeters in a few hours flooding west central Saskatchewan. But all the rain refilled waterways and reservoirs like Lake Diefenbaker.
It's actually at its sort of highest level normally recorded for this time of year. So we're in excellent shape for Lake Diefenbaker and supplying water through the province for next year. It's essentially 3 meters higher than it was at this time last year, just to put it in context. So that makes a tremendous difference going forward.
It also ended drought. More than 75% of Saskatchewan farms were in some form of drought in November 2023. A year later, that had dropped to around 10%. But July and August were hot and dry, and while many crops did well as they dried out from all that rain, others suffered.
An old saying that we were half an inch away from a bumper crop and a half an inch of rain away from a disaster. I think that was very evident this year.
The dry weather also reignited forest fires. More than 1 million hectares burned, and many places faced another bad year for smoke, ranking second in smoke hours, bested only by 2023. After 30-degree weather lasted into October, we've gone back to the snow and cold snaps. Above average snowpack now means extra moisture for farmers come spring, but climate change means things can turn quickly.
We're going from extreme dry conditions to extreme wet conditions much more quickly and much more frequently than we used to. So again, our normal cycle isn't a normal cycle anymore. We're seeing more extremes, either wet or dry, depending on what series we're in at that time. And we're seeing them flop really quickly.
Meaning more wild weather is likely in 2025. Ethan Williams, CBC News, Regina.
Oh, and Ethan joins me now, and I think even looking back at December, we'd find more continued wild ride.
Yeah, we sure did. A lot of flip-flopping, especially throughout really that entire month of December, really throughout all of the province. If you look at the stats, which we do now have from Environment Canada on the last month of 2024, precipitation-wise was a little all over the place, but a lot of us actually doing pretty well, getting around what we normally get. If you remember December, we had a few of those storms moving through that brought some snowfall. Prince Albert, though, missing out on that. You were the lowest, getting less than half of what you'd normally get moisture-wise. But temperature-wise, almost all stations across the province trending warmer than normal. Not drastically warmer than normal. If you remember December 2023, when we had no snow on the ground for Christmas, it was way warmer than normal, 5 to 7 degrees in some places. But for the most part, it was just between 0 and 2 degrees above normal in a lot of locations across the province. Starting 2025, though, on a very chilly note, the jet stream still well to our south. We've got this Arctic air that has moved into Saskatchewan and also into Manitoba as well now. And if we put this into motion, I think the coldest of the air going to be moving in very early Saturday morning. We could see some overnight lows, even in parts of south and central, get well into the minus 30s, wind chills into the minus 40s. And then another round of that cold going to start to move in as we get into early Monday morning through northern sections of Saskatchewan. But south and central, we finally start to see a little bit of a bump up in temperatures, and some Pacific air will be headed our way for a little bit later into the week. It's this area of high pressure that has been bringing us that cold, but it's been keeping us clear, and it's been keeping the winds down as well. That begins to move out. We are watching a little bit of a system that is moving through Alberta and Montana, bringing some snow into the Cypress Hills, into southwestern Saskatchewan. That system going to bring cloudy skies for Sunday, a warmer Sunday for us as well, and maybe some flurries. Almost all of us have a chance of seeing some flurries, I think, on Sunday before that next area of high pressure begins to move in Monday, clears us out and cools us down briefly once again. I think generally 5 to 10 centimeters for the southwest. The areas around the Cypress Hills, though, in that higher elevation, looking maybe 10 to 15 centimeters. And as that system moves in, the winds pick up. So travel maybe not so great Saturday, Sunday in southwestern Saskatchewan with blowing snow, and the highways seeing some reduced visibility and that extra snow on the ground there. That wind is going to move eastward through the weekend, so we'll be a bit gusty at times. That's going to, of course, add a bit of a wind chill. So for tomorrow in Regina, we're looking at minus 22, but feeling about 10 degrees colder. Breezy on Sunday, and then look at that nice warm-up in time for next week. Saskatoon, we won't leave you out of the warm-up either, because after the weekend and that brief cool down again on Monday, we see temperatures getting pretty darn near close to the freezing mark, well above seasonal, albeit with a little bit of wind, Sam, but not too bad of a trade-off.
The roller coaster ride continues.
That's right, 2025, here we go.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Zoos in Germany have a different tradition after the holidays, putting Christmas trees on the menu. And it's not just elephants and reindeer tucking into these holiday leftovers. Even giraffes appear to be enjoying the upcycled trees. For the safety of the animals, the zoo only accepts unsold organic trees directly from sellers. We'll be back after the break. The Prime Minister was at the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa earlier today to sign a book of condolence for former U.S. President Jimmy Carter. Justin Trudeau arrived and left without speaking to reporters. Carter died last Sunday in Georgia at the age of 100. He was the longest living U.S. president. There will be a state funeral for him in Washington next week. Ethan's back with one last look at your weather.
Before we get to the forecast, I want to introduce you to Stewie, the puppy, who is enjoying the beautiful conditions, picture-perfect conditions. Maybe the temperatures are a little cold. This is out near Esterhazy. I want to thank Mackenzie for sending in this gorgeous shot of Stewie enjoying that weather. But yeah, maybe keep the pups inside for tonight and tomorrow. Going to be chilly, especially overnight tonight. Some of these temperatures in the northern grain belt will have wind chills that go along with them that could be close to minus 50 at times overnight as we go Friday into Saturday. And very similar in far northern locations. Many of us minus 35 to minus 40, just darn cold as we get into tomorrow morning still in that part of the province. Things will improve somewhat temperature-wise as we get in later into the afternoon, especially in western sections. Maybe getting up into the low minus 20s as a bit of cloud cover moves in. And then again in south and central, we're watching that system moving into southwestern areas, so that'll bump temperatures up to near minus 10. But for the rest of us, again, especially as you go closer to the Manitoba border, some sunshine, but very crisp, very cold. We'll wait a couple of days for that warm-up to come, Sam.
It's a bundle-up kind of weekend.
Sure is.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
And before we go, Royal Watchers will like this one. Meghan Markle is bringing some love to Netflix.
I've always loved taking something pretty ordinary and elevating it. Surprising people with moments that let them know I was really thinking of them.
That is a sneak peek at With Love, Meghan, a new lifestyle show brought to you by the Duchess of Sussex herself. The upcoming Netflix series is hosted and produced by Markle, and it will feature the Duchess sharing candid conversations with friends, as well as practical how-tos and personal tips and tricks. All of it filmed in Montecito, California, where Markle lives with Prince Harry and their 2 young children. With Love, Meghan premieres January 15th. And that is it for us this week. For more news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/Sask, or you can subscribe to CBC Saskatchewan's YouTube channel. You can also download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.